Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co.
And I'm a duck.
That's your usual go-to.
I like it.
Duck. I'm okay with
It's
that.
a good phrase.
Apparently, I'm supposed to be a muskrat. We're still working on this. It's all good. Primal the Awakening, which is here, and it's a prototype.
Now, Alex, let's avoid the normal 3-minute introductions that we give to these series of videos where we talk.
Are you talking as slowly as possible while you talk with this? So let's jump straight into this. This is going to be a how-to-play video. Make sure to head on over to Quackalope's channel. I don't know exactly when, either now or later, but there will be gameplay.
Likely equal to or before this video goes up.
Likely equal. Yes, it's important to show the gameplay before we cover how to play. That's an important sequencing, which is good to know. But either way, head on over to Quackalope, subscribe to him. We'll have the far more interesting gameplay, and then show back up here where we'll see. Maybe there's a review, maybe there's not. And to begin with, this game, which that monster's facing the wrong way, but it's okay, because it wants you to see the dragon. Viraxin, I believe is his name. But he'll be facing back the other way shortly. And let's go through how to play this game. And so to begin with, how do you win, how do you lose?
Now, specifically, how to play a showdown sequence of this game. There is a campaign, there is a larger story and settlement progression, which we're not necessarily going through. We're going through this.
Exactly.
Probably the most compelling part of this.
For me, yes. Yeah. I'm curious to see how the complaint elements all pay out.
Sure.
But let's dive into this first, get a feel.
But this is the thing where you're going to be spending most of your time.
Hopefully for me, as far as I'm concerned. I like that gameplay aspect. I like the, well, spoilers. Either way, let's come back to it. So, what's going on with this game is as follows. The goal of the game is obviously to win. The way you're going to win this game is by taking out the monster, taking out whoever the monster might be. In this case, Viraxin, but perhaps it's somebody else, whoever. And in order to take out the Viraxin is going to go through 3 stances. We are playing a 2-player game, which means we're going to look at the 2-player row. Stance 1 has 18 health, then 24 health, then 28 health. That's all the health we have to do. Okay. 18 plus 24
Sounds
plus
like
28.
A lot.
Not a small amount. Not a small amount at all. That's
Sounds significant.
Okay, we have to take it out.
Especially considering my weapon seems to indicate I do like 2 damage.
That is correct. Your weapon does 2 damage.
By the way, this is a how to play video where I
have no clue how to play at all whatsoever. Also a prototype.
I don't read board games.
Also a prototype, which means if you are watching this after this game is already released, please do not watch this video for an informative how to play of how this game. This is meant to give you an idea of how to play, understand it may well and probably will change.
Can you keep teaching me this game?
I will keep teaching the game. So,
I'm your main audience
18
here,
plus 24 plus 28 of health is how much we need to do. The point of this different stances is the monster will escalate as it goes through different stances. Escalation is a good thing. It's
Makes
fun.
sense.
Any case, so from there, that's how we win. How do we lose? A variety of ways. If all the hunters are knocked out, we lose. If we go through 10 rounds and we do not kill the monster, we lose.
Okay.
Those are the variety of ways. Excellent.
Wow.
You good on that?
7 ways.
7 ways. 7 ways. Now we go to sequencing. Sequencing of the turn structure. The turn structure is very simple. The monster doesn't actually really attack us. Sort of. The monster is going to go through the initial phase. The monster's turn primarily consists of drawing struggle tokens. You're going to draw 1 struggle token for every single player in the game. So it's going to draw 2 struggle tokens. Okay? That's going to start off. Done. Excellent. Awesome. Cool. Then you're going to remove the lowest stance from the monster. Not the stance, reaction. These are called reactions.
Struggle tokens sound like snuggle tokens to me, and I can't get that out of my head.
You can call them snuggle tokens. So then you're going to remove the lowest reaction from this board. So if this reaction is number 2, if there's multiple ones at the same number, you remove all of them and replace them. These are the reactions, the way the monster is going to engage with you. Okay, the monster doesn't really do anything other than react to you, except for those snuggle tokens. Those snuggle tokens, when the monster has 10 snuggle tokens, for every additional snuggle token, we're going to ruin this Kickstarter for them. Every additional snuggle token is going to result in the monster doing its damage to you equal to whatever its stance is. So the attrition value over here is 1, which means we want to maintain this, I'm going to call it struggle. It's going to be ridiculous.
If he gets 10 snuggle tokens, he's going to do 1 damage to us.
For each additional snuggle token he would have gotten.
For each additional he would have gotten.
Correct.
That's honestly not a big... I mean, that's...
Not that scary.
Not that scary for snuggling.
Although, keep in mind, he does have 18 plus 24 plus 28 health, and we have our helm plus our armor for a total of 8 health.
Ooh.
We just started this game. We have very basic equipment, very basic gear, nothing we've leveled up or developed to be, elemental mastery, responding to different types of creatures, whatever it is. All that stuff exists in the game. There's a lot of things
so we could do 18 snuggles.
Correct.
And then we're dead.
18. 8 plus 8 is 16.
Well, 10. 1 damage each from 8.
Sure, exactly. That's
don't we each take 1?
We would each take 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm missing this whole snuggle token. Point is, the snuggle tokens.
I got this. Don't worry.
So that is going to be the monster phase. Really done. All that's it. That's the monster phase. Then we go to the R phase. Now you're going to start the game with 5 cards. I'll reshuffle this when we actually start playing, but you're going to start the game with 5 cards. You get an initial mulligan where you can choose to discard some cards. Perhaps I say, you know what? I don't really think I want this card. In fact, I am going to say, for the sake of whatever, that I don't want this red card, and I'll explain why shortly. So I'm going to put it on the bottom, draw another card. Great, awesome. Shuffle up my deck. That's your initial mulligan for the game. Okay? With me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There may be a reason why you don't want those. Maybe you do. Let's say that you want those. For whatever reason. Let's keep your hand.
I do want these.
Okay. Awesome. Good choice. Then I'm going to go to my turn. You're going to take your turn. Now, the first thing you do is on a turn, we can take our turns. I'm going to take my turn first. The very first thing you can do is you can choose to move to an adjacent region. Okay? If you do so, you must pay 1 stamina. You'll notice that you have these little blood drops on the bottom of your card. That is the stamina that a card generates. You have a number in the top left corner. That is how much stamina the card costs to activate. Okay. So you have the generation and the activation cost of your various cards. Cards come in 4 types. It's going to be, I don't remember the exact types and the names of them, but there's going to be red, blue, yellow, and green, which are like evade, dodge, whatever it is. I don't know exactly, but the red is primarily attacking. The blue are going to be the way you control the snuggle tokens, and the yellow and green are going to be different ways of mitigating damage against you.
Okay.
With me so far. Great. So, on my turn, I could choose to go ahead and use 1 stamina to move to an adjacent region, which I will do so. In fact, I don't really know which one of these cards I want. I think I definitely want this one. So I think I'm going to go ahead and use... Oh, these are hard choices. I probably should have kept that red card. Oh, well, it is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and give up... Let's say... I'm going to give up this card. Okay, so I'm going to give up this card with this stamina over here, and I'm going to move to an adjacent region. Okay, excellent. We good so far? Now, there is terrain around the board. I'm going to ignore the terrain for right now for simplicity's sake.
Flowers in a bush.
Flowers in a bush. Okay, so that was my first thing. From there, I can play a sequence of cards, a bunch of cards, by paying for their various costs. So in this case, for instance, I think that I want to remove 2 snuggle tokens. Interesting. I can do repulse, and then all allies draw 1. Intriguing. That's going to be a card that activates if I've upgraded this, I believe. Yes, which I have not yet upgraded.
What is that?
So this is your special ability, which you'll be able to have a chance to upgrade.
How do you upgrade it?
By putting counters on it, which, for instance, in your case, when you draw the last card in your deck, place a counter on this card.
Okay.
So as you cycle this deck, you're going to place a counter.
So each one has some asymmetric rules. What's yours?
Yep. Mine's going to, and then you're going to flip it when you have 1 counter.
Okay.
In my case, whenever I place a red and a blue and a yellow card in the same turn, I'll place a counter, and I'll flip it when I get to 3 counters.
So you should not have gotten rid of that red card.
Correct, but I have reasons why I did. Okay.
Poor decision making.
Poor decision making. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start by paying. Let me take a look here. And it doesn't look like a lot of these cards are not going to show you certain things. I don't want to take a strain token. I don't want the evasive action. I think I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pay these 2 cards. Or perhaps I'll just do... Okay. I think I'm just going to go ahead and play this over here. And I'm going to play this into my sequence. And I'm going to pay 1 card in order to do so. I don't understand the strain token or why I'd want it, but strain token sounds like a bad thing. I'll go ahead and play this card over here by paying... No. I'm going to play this card over here and just play 1 card. Okay, so I'm paying 1 card and I'm holding onto these 2. With me so far?
Yep.
Okay, great. Now you're playing this whole sequence of cards over here.
You've done stuff with cards.
I've done stuff with cards. Now you can play your sequences and they will matter in different ways, which we'll cover more depending on the cards you get. But all I've done is I've played this card, which has remove 1 additional struggle token for each occupied sector besides yours. In other words, when you play a blue card, different things will happen. When you play a red card, you always do your damage to the enemy equal to your weapon level. Okay. So you say your weapon damage. So when you play a red card, you will do 2 damage to the monster right now.
Okay.
Okay. But you can only attack the monster if you're in a sector where the monster is vulnerable. And in stage 1, the Viraxen is vulnerable in the front and the back.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all. So I can't attack the monster. That's why I got rid of the red card. I knew I wouldn't be able to damage it. Okay, that's what red cards do. Red cards damage the monster equal to your weapon damage. Blue cards remove snuggle tokens. Okay, so that blue card that I played is automatically going to remove a snuggle token. This removes an additional snuggle token for each occupied sector besides yours. So that's 1 occupied sector plus the 1 I play by default. So both snuggle tokens are gone.
Okay.
Okay. Controlling the monster snuggle tokens is an important part of this game. Yep. I don't think anyone's gonna take this video seriously, but it's cool.
I'm taking it seriously.
Every time I say snuggle token, it is what it is. So that is my
genuinely turn. I like that name more than struggle token though.
It's kind of hard to really understand what they're doing though. In any case,
it's more memorable.
From there, I have 2 cards left, which means I get to take 1 stamina. Okay, so I'm going to take a stamina, which is over here. The stamina token over here. That is a save stamina for next round. You may only have 1 of those. Okay? Great. That was my turn. Your turn.
So, yeah, so I'll go through my turn. I'll play cards from my hand. I'll do damage to the beast.
No, actually go through your turn. Try to see what those cards do and play out how that would play out.
Okay, so I have 5 cards here.
Yeah. Now, by the way, just for the record, strategically, and again, we'll reset for the actual game. I'm trying to set up around the back of the monster. You're currently in the front sector. You could try to start doing damage to it.
So, and I have to pay the price for various of these cards.
Yes, you do.
So I have a called shot. I could aim. The next time I play a red card this turn, I'm going to deal more damage.
But that won't actually happen because you haven't upgraded your character card yet.
I need this upgraded to get that?
That symbol over there. Yep.
Gotcha.
And again, remember, so when you play red cards, by default, you do damage. When you play blue cards, you remove snuggle tokens. Yellow and green. Oh, I forgot an important part. Sorry, my bad. At the end of my sequence, when I'm done with my sequence, I will draw one of these cards over here. Now, if I didn't move, you take a threat token. A threat token means you're going to draw 2 of these cards. Because when you're stationary, it's easier to target you.
Sure.
So I only drew 1 of these cards. This means I have to have 1 red, 1 green, or 1 yellow card in my stance, in my sequence of cards, in order to not take damage. I don't have any of those.
Mm-hmm.
So I will take 1 damage. So if you can pass me a single damage token. Yep. And I take 1 damage.
So I'm going to play a green and a blue in order to add the yellow to draw a card.
Yep.
Right?
So you play the blue to power the yellow. The yellow will let you draw a card.
Okay. I'm then... What does stealth mean?
I do not know. Good question. I'll look that up.
And what does attrition mean?
Attrition is usually the damage value of the monster. Does that make sense?
Okay. So, for free, I'm going to play Cover Fire.
Okay.
Reaction: when an ally suffers damage from attrition, you may discard Cover Fire from your hand to cancel that damage. It doesn't help me.
When an ally suffers damage from attrition, you may discard... Yep, okay. So reaction is a card that you can play not on your turn.
Yeah.
Which won't help you right now, correct.
Could play Assist, Perfect Strike. At the start of your turn, if Perfect Stretch is on top of your discard pile, draw 2.
So the way this works is Assist is a keyword that is related to the idea that at any point you can play a card with the word Assist.
Don't I do damage just from red, though?
You just by playing red, you automatically do damage. Just go ahead, just do some damage. Just to start, this is just to go through sequencing.
Sure, so I'm just playing both of those to do damage. Is it?
Yep. Cool. So the assist is, this is not going to be relevant, so you may want this one over here, because we'll explain that shortly. So you're going to play Cover Fire next, which will do automatically 2 damage to the monster. Then we'll do Perfect Stretch, where you're going to do 2 damage to the monster as well. And then we'll put them all into your discard pile in the order that they were played. Okay? So that's going to go over here, which leaves this on top of your discard pile. Okay, so that's going to be on top of your discard pile, helping you for next round. With me so far? So you did 4 damage, then that's setting up for next round. There's a little bit of a sequence at play. Now, unfortunately, you're going to be attacked with 2 cards, and you will take the higher of those 2 cards, which basically doesn't really matter in this case. They're both 1s. Had it been a 1 or a 2, it wouldn't have mattered, because either way... Oh, wait, you had 1 yellow, right?
Mm-hmm.
Great, so awesome. So we take the higher of the 1 versus the 1, which is 1. You had 1 yellow, which means you do not take any damage. Okay. If you have enough defensive cards, which are the yellow and the greens, then you will not take any damage from the beast.
Okay.
Great. That was your turn. With me so far. Let's cover a few more basic stuff. That's just basic over there. A few more things are going to be this idea over here. You see this card? When you play this to your stance, this is saying if you have a yellow card to the left, then you will move 2 struggle tokens. Okay? Following that basic? So if you have such an ordering. Over here, this one is, again, same idea. If you have a yellow card to the left, you'll deal 3 additional damage. When you see that symbol, that means equal to your shield level. So it's 3 times 1 because our level is 1. So it's 3 times 1, you deal 3 additional damage. If there's a level 2 shield, you would deal 2 additional damage. There could be other cards as well that have that same idea over here. So had we played this one over here before this one, then this would said if you play a red card after, you remove a struggle token. The cards will interplay off of each other depending on the way and sequence that you play them out. A few basic things is the idea of reactions can be played on the monster's turn. A card that has the word assist can be discarded to let someone else draw a card on their turn. So if you're like, oh, I really just need 1 more stamina to be able to do something, I can be like, hey, wait a second, I'll discard an assist card, that doesn't have assist on it, I'll discard an assist card, and you can draw a card. Okay? Follow me so far?
Mm-hmm.
Great. We're going to keep doing that, managing the board flow, and then we haven't talked about something yet, which is this whole thing over here. Okay? The way this sequence works over here is the monster's reactions. So we have a few things. This is the monster's stance, which is where they are vulnerable. That will escalate as it progresses, and will also have abilities. So that's going to become increasingly more vulnerable in different stances. That is what's going on there as it goes through different stances. Over here, we have these cards over here, the Peril cards, which is when a behavior card is triggered. So the players in the front sector reveal a yellow card from their hand or suffer 1 damage. These are behavior cards. So this is currently what's going on over here. When a behavior card is triggered, you must have a yellow card in your hand to reveal, or else you will take a damage.
Okay.
Something to be mindful of. And then these are objectives, which usually give you extra things to do. The way these cards generally work is a star means it stays in play even as the stance progresses. So this objective over here, even though it starts in level 1, because as a star, it will stay in play as we advance to the next level. Okay, and this is hit the tail. Let's hit the tail. When a player plays a red card attacking from the rear sector, place a counter on this card. Once there are 2 counters, 2 per number of players, that means 2 per number of players, so once there are 4 counters on Let's Hit the Tail, this objective card is complete and Varaxon suffers 5 times the number of players damage. Okay, so this is an escalation where you'll be able to put some more counters on and then deal chunks of damage to it because you whack that dragon on his tail. With me? Excellent. Now this will stay play an entire game because it has that little star. This is the reaction board where certain things will trigger depending on what you do. So for example, this card over here will trigger, that reaction will trigger when you play a red card. Hypothetically, once you play that red card, this would immediately trigger, revealing whatever it does. Claw Firestorm. The Varaxon immediately turns to the active player, which would be you in that case. Place 1 fire terrain in the front sector. The active player suffers 1 fire damage unless they... Oh, and this is if they have a struggle token, a snuggle token. They pay the snuggle token to do the additional ability. So right now he has no snuggle token, so he wouldn't have done that additional ability. Okay. But had he would have done that as well. So these are reactions that will trigger off of different effects that you take during the game. Some of them will trigger off of other reactions triggering and different things in order to do stuff. So you have to be mindful of the monster's reactions, and then those reactions will slowly but surely escalate out of the round, so you can try to wait your time, bide your time for certain reactions to disappear, so you can take the most efficient and least damaging turns. Following the basic flow here?
I think so.
So, basic again, quick overview. The monster is going to generate 2 snuggle tokens, or 1 snuggle token per player, at the beginning of each round, and then it's going to remove its lowest stance. In this case, this would be this. We don't do this at the beginning of the game. We would have done this any other time. You'll put out a new stance to change how it goes. So right now, all we have to do is avoid red cards. It'll be a little easier to play around that. From there, we will take our turns, in which you will, at the end of your turn, you usually drop to 5, but at the end of your turn, you drop to 5, so when you take your turn, you're going to play out your sequencing of cards in order to do whatever abilities are relevant. You can first choose to move to an adjacent sector, so you can't move 2 sectors at once. You can move to an adjacent sector for 1 stamina, or you can stay where you are and take a threat token. Threat tokens means you're going to be a little bit more vulnerable when the monster is actually trying to do damage to you at the end of the round. Whenever you move, you remove any prior threat tokens. Sure. So if you don't move this round and you move next round,
you'll be drawing 3 cards.
Yeah. No. You'll move. You only ever have 1 threat token.
Okay.
So at the end of next round, if you don't move this round, which you didn't, you took 1 threat token. Next round, when you move, not only do you not take a threat token, you lose your threat token.
But if I stayed in the same spot, I'd still only have 1.
You still only have 1.
Okay.
Yeah. Generally, the idea is people who are not moving are easier targets for the monster. And from there, that is basically the main sequence of play. You're going to rinse and repeat until the monster is killed. Whenever you deal enough damage to equal its stance level, you will clear not all damage, but you'll clear that amount. So, for example, if you went directly from 17 to 24, you don't remove all 24, you just remove 18 and keep counting from where you left off. You now take new cards out, so the stance might change. The Varaxon, when revealed, Varaxon gains 2 struggle tokens. These are things we can either play secretly or see how that goes. The new Peril cards will be revealed. A new objective will be revealed. Objectives are usually things you can do to help you. Potentially, sure. I don't know what they all do, so potentially
they are
spots, damaging.
Things that you can, yeah.
Yep. And that is basically how you play the main core focus of this game before you then hopefully defeat the monster, and move on to the actual
Yeah, you'd gain
campaign.
Resources, you'd bring them back, you'd start spawning your boards that allow you to craft items, and then you'd go back out on another hunt.
Now, there are a few other things going on in the game. First of all is the concept of brush. Brush is the idea that whenever you move into brush, you can choose to pause, stop taking your turn, and have somebody else take their turn, and then resume your turn. It's the idea of hiding within the brush.
Okay.
Right? Banthus over here, that little token over the back, is going to be when you start your turn in that sector, you get to heal, removing a damage.
Okay.
So whenever you start your turn in a sector with that Banthus token, you will heal, removing 1 damage. Whenever you start your turn in the whenever you play an attack card in the Siracy sector, then you're going to deal additional damage equal to your weapon level, which is always, well, not always, in this campaign is over 1. And then finally is fire tokens. Fire tokens are red or yellow, depending on which color they start. They become progressively weaker. But first of all, they will get rid of brush. And then additionally, fire tokens, when you start your turn in when you are in a sector with fire, you cannot play cards from your hand. And that's going to be the main idea of the trains. Past that, there's a bunch of stuff relating to the actual campaign itself, but we can cover those, well, later.
Cool.
And that's basically the game. Any questions?
I don't think so.
Pretty straightforward. All but the sequencing, all but the cards, the hand management.
What's the row of colors on that side?
That is going to be your weapon decides your deck composition. So we're starting in the prologue where everything's preset.
Everything's equal.
But your weapon, which there are a variety of different weapons you can play with, your weapon will determine your deck composition of the distribution of cards.
Your armor, setting up your health, your
items. So another thing we didn't talk about is whenever you play a red card, you get volley 2. So that's your ability there. Whenever I play a yellow card, I can remove a struggle token. So there's always abilities you want to be mindful of as you play out your cards to do different things.
And then we also are bringing some items with us. We have a consumable that allows you to heal 2.
Yes. Choose a player in your sector to heal 2. If the attrition value of the topmost card is in this pile is 1, then you heal 4 instead. So again, there's lots of game states you're trying to be mindful of as you play this game, of when to play certain cards to their maximum advantage, when to hold off, when to do certain things and risk the damage the monster will deal back, when to, like, I mean, these 2 4s over here, not a big deal. Let's just not play red cards till they leave. Then again, there's another red card on top there that's going to come out again.
Sure.
So it's always
But if you played a red card, those would flip. And
those would flip.
Okay.
And we don't know what's on the back
both of them flip?
They both flip. Yep. And that is basically how you play Primal the Awakening. From there, we're going to go to give this a shot, and make sure to head over to Quackalope's channel where you can actually see how well we do at this game. Until next time, I'm Alex Radcliffe.
I'm a duck.
And have a good one.